keep saying interesting, it's all interesting, but a fascinating body of work, so it's totally worth looking at that. And we've all heard the quote as well from Jon Kabat Zinn. What is it now? You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. You know, so you might come across things like that on a mug or something. Hello lovely people, it's so nice to have you here. I hope that you had a look at the first video in this mini series about mindfulness. The first video was all about mindfulness, what it is and what it isn't. These are short videos just with bursts of information about different parts, and there'll be 4 of them over this month. This video is going to be all about the different schools of thought. I'm going to talk about 3 of them specifically because I think it's really important if you're interested in mindfulness and bringing it into your life or the lives of children. You need to have knowledge about where it comes from, some of the science behind it, and then what the benefits really are. So I'd like to talk about 3 different, like I said, schools of thought in particular, and I'll recommend a couple of YouTube videos and different things as well. So the first person I want to talk about is a lady called Ellen Langer, and she's studied mindfulness for over 40 years. Graduated from Yale as a professor, currently still I think in Harvard University. She's got a really amazing TED Talk, so that's one of the ones that I'm going to link in the bio. I keep saying that, link in bio, put in the box below. So her that TED Talk in particular, that YouTube video, and her school of thought towards mindfulness is mindfulness without meditation. She talks quite a lot about that, and her theory on mindfulness is perspective, the act of simply noticing things as they are without preconceived labels or perceptions. She also talks quite a bit about mindlessness. Mindlessness is something that we all experience. I think I've mentioned in a different video somewhere that when I think about mindlessness in my life, it's like autopilot. When I'm driving to work, I don't even remember the drive there because I'm so lost in all these thoughts. Sometimes if I'm sitting in front of the TV and I have a tub of ice cream, mindlessly eating, just next thing I know it's gone, I hit the bottom of the tub and I think, oh gosh, like total mindlessness. So even when you think about your work or things that you're just going through the motions, you know, you're perceiving the world as it is, and you're in autopilot, not actually noticing the things around you. So it's so interesting to listen to her talk. It's about 15-20 minutes and it's really quite funny as well, so when you think about that. She also goes in to talk about how when you are shown something completely new, so imagine when a new baby is born. My niece just now is only 6 months old, and my brother sends me videos of her exploring and experiencing things that she's only seen for the first time. So the other day she had like a little torch and it was kind of flashing all these neon colours. Nobody's told her what that is, you know, she's just exploring, she just sees it for what it is. Another example, I think Ellen Langer gives this one as well. When my niece is a little bit older and someone shows her, for example, a dog toy, without telling her anything about it, she'll look at it, she will notice things about it, she'll see it, she'll feel it, put it in her mouth. Nobody's told her that that's a dog chew toy yet. But it's when we start adding labels to things, then it's quite hard to unlearn those things. So Ellen Langer's school of thought is all about simply noticing things as they are without a preconceived notion or perception. But of course her body of work spans over 40 years, you know, there's so many interesting papers and articles and books. So it's really a lovely thing to consider when you're introducing yourself to mindfulness and studies about it. But do watch the TED Talk, that's one of the best. The second school of thought I'd like to kind of talk about is probably one of the most famous ones. Lots of people have heard of Jon Kabat Zinn. He's sometimes said to be one of the founding fathers of mindfulness in the West, and he's famed for creating the mindfulness-based stress reduction course. So he, again, very professor, educated in such amazing fields, and he introduced this program in the 1970s, late 1970s I think. So when you think how far back that is, you know, I always like to think in my head the 70s is 30 years ago, but it's not, it's like 50, I'm showing my age. So you think about that, how long that's actually been around. I think it was 1979, and of course there's so much work has been built on top of that now, but he brought mindfulness as he sees it into the West, into these different fields of healthcare, and also there was studies done in like the prison system and things. Fast forward to now, and he's done so much work with different groups of athletes, things like that, corporations, but he found it through a talk he attended in mindfulness and meditation, and if I'm correct, I think he actually went to the East and studied as well. So again, mindfulness has so many roots in the East. This is where it originates from. Lots of different religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, have practices of mindfulness and meditation. There's also so many links to yoga. Again, yoga is something that there's a lot of misconceptions about. That I've kind of mentioned the misconceptions about mindfulness in the last video, but again, yoga goes back thousands of years. I actually studied for a month in India, and I just adored the yoga philosophy. It wasn't just about the postures, although we did 2 classes a day, physical yoga, but a lot of it was meditation. So when you hear some of the philosophy there, it does really link to the previous 2 schools of thought that I've mentioned, about really noticing things. So Jon Kabat Zinn, again, has got some brilliant literature. You should look on his website. And he started with the stress reduction thing. So of course, there's lots of studies in that, how mindfulness practice can reduce stress in your life, can reduce anxiety, things like that. And this is so valuable for so many people. If you look at what current society is actually like, how many people that strive to meet deadlines, keep up with the workload, this is the constant busyness. And often this results and is connected to mindlessness, going through the motions, doing things. And although you're busy working, getting things done, how present are you in the moment? So when I started thinking about mindfulness and mindful teaching, it really made me think about when I'm with a child one-to-one, it's quite difficult to be there completely present, because your ears are aware of the other children in the class, and making sure that they're safe and making sure they're just doing what they should be and learning and things like that. So when you're working with a child, for example, one-to-one for say a minute or so, to be really present in that moment. So again, he's got a really interesting body of work, so that's another really interesting, I keep saying interesting, it's all interesting, but a fascinating body of work, so it's totally worth looking at that. And we've all heard the quote as well from Jon Kabat Zinn. What is it now? You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. So you might come across things like that on a mug or something. The third school of thought that I want to mention is the role of mindfulness in positive psychology. So positive psychology is another branch of traditional psychology, founded or started its growth maybe 15-20 years ago. Professor Martin Seligman is always said to be the founding father of positive psychology. And in a nutshell, it's the study of what's right with us. So often traditional psychology, psychotherapy, it helps us support, gives us support to sort through things that have went wrong. If there's like mental illness in specific people, they go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and they can get medication, they can be diagnosed with specific things. But positive psychology kind of is another branch of that, where you look at all the things that are right with you, the study of what makes you well, what makes you flourish. So there's so much about mindfulness within positive psychology. So there's a really lovely website, Awareness is Freedom, and one of the professors, when I was studying positive psychology at the time, he talks about mindfulness-based flourishing. So not just thinking about and using mindfulness as a way to reduce stress and anxiety, but also to support us to flourish further in life, really savouring those positive moments, those joyful moments, and recognising that feeling and growing from that. So the third school of thought is definitely there's a new wave of mindfulness towards the field of positive psychology and really flourishing using mindfulness as a tool in that. So this is really short, this video. Those are the three main schools of thought that I wanted to just briefly mention. In the next video, I'm going to share some ways to get started in mindfulness, your mindfulness practice, and some tools that I use, maybe some more book recommendations, and I'll definitely outline the benefits, because I know I keep saying the benefits, but I've saved them for the next video. Also, if you're interested in learning a bit more about mindfulness practices, you can have a look at my online course. It's suitable for teachers, educators, people with adults within education, or parents of primary age children. Of course, if you're interested in mindfulness, you can do the course even if you don't have children or aren't a teacher, because there is an adult block, and you can maybe just share the child-led part with someone that you know. But the link is in the box below. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video of this little series, and thank you. Bye.